right, I'll call this meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first up on the agenda, approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of January 10th, 2022.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes on January 10th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Sorry. Approval of the general fund vouchers 79222 through 79310 and wire transfers 2022-0320 through 202-20376.
Move to approve.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to approve the general fund vouchers and wire transfers. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Public comments on the agenda items?
I think we do this evening.
Hi, I'm Brooklyn Colton. I'm the Vice President of the UFFA. So we're here to talk about what our favorite activity that we've done so far this year was. And we just really want to thank you for all you guys have done for us. So my favorite so far that we've done has been planning a tour Food for America, because I'm going to school for egg education at high school, and it just really gave me something to look forward to, and kind of was like a look into what teaching is sort of going to be like. So I really enjoyed that. So I just want to say we appreciate everything you guys have done for us.
I'm Hunter. I'm the president of the FFA chapter. My favorite activity is our parliamentary procedure leadership development event team. So basically, 6 of us get together. We have a chair and 5 assembly members, and we run like a mock meeting, like co-responding with Robert's Rules of Order. And so yeah, we competed at Unity on the 31st of January. We took first. We beat Amory and Prairie Farm, and Amory won state last year, so it was pretty cool to beat them. And then we'll go to Flambeau March toward the end of the month to compete for sectionals, and if we take first there, then we'll go to state at at state convention. So thanks for you guys' support with everything.
Hi, I'm Stephen Wood. I am the treasurer for the FFA. I enjoyed the Food for America, just through seeing it through the animals and the kids just enjoying the animals and learning about animals side of things. But then one of the things that I'm the most excited about is actually the strawberry sales that we're doing right now, just because it's something different. Not many people do it, and it's just something to fill in this gap in time, and just, yeah. So, and thank you guys for your support.
All right, and this is Career Technical Education Month, so happy February. I know it's also Valentine's Day, so we brought you a little snack to get you through the meeting in case you needed a little sugar rush. And we just wanted to say thank you. They said it, I didn't coach them too much, I promise, but they already said a lot for me, but we just wanted to say thank you. So thanks for letting us jump into your meeting for a little bit tonight.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Well, we appreciate you guys sharing, and I'd like to say that you guys do just a great job of representing the student body, not only the student body, but the Clear Lake District as a whole when you guys go to your conferences and do your presentations. So thank you. And thank you guys for coming in.
The kids were impressed you guys could get strawberries grown in January in Wisconsin.
Did you read the thing?
I did. I just sent in money.
Somebody did ask. They were like, so are they frozen strawberries? I was like, no, we're also not growing them. We just are selling them.
In that little thing you showed us.
Yes, exactly. It's right there in our little hydroponic thing.
Yeah.
All of the strawberries. Yeah, no, they are coming from Florida, just to be clear. But thank you all. You guys ready? Good. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Mrs. Karnick, was there anybody else that signed up?
No, that's it.
All right, next, introduction of 21-22 valedictorian and salutatorian.
Okay, so the 21-22 valedictorian and salutatorian. I'm going to turn over to Mr. Melberg to introduce those two individuals and their families.
So our 21-22 valedictorian is Elizabeth Rosine. Liz is the son of Dale and Margot Rosine with a current GPA of 4.008. And this year's salutatorian is Josie Peterson. Josie is the daughter of Tamara Madison and Garrett Peterson, and her current GPA is 3.941. So congratulations, ladies. And if you could share with the board, Liz, if you want to start, what your future plans are, your current future plans are.
Yes, so as of now, I plan on attending St. Catherine University in St. Paul, and I will be majoring in sport and exercise science.
Very cool.
I am not currently decided on a school to go to yet, but I am planning on majoring in accounting.
Well,
Go ahead.
I was going to say congratulations to both of you and your parents, because that's a lot of hard work that you guys put in for 4 years.
And I'd like to say congratulations as well on behalf of the entire district, and not only to have those GPAs, just to get those GPAs is an accomplishment, but then to do it in all the different activities that you guys are both involved in is also extremely impressive. So congratulations to both of you.
Congratulations, huh?
Yeah. So,
We'll look
Congrats,
forward to your
girls.
speeches.
yeah. And thank you both for coming in too, and the families as well.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
All right, next, review of the second Friday pupil count.
Okay, so the pupil count, as
And
you guys.
can leave. You can stay, it's awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so the pupil count, as you guys know, we do the third Friday in September and then the second Friday in January. It's a DPI requirement that we do. You count the number of students that we have in the district. You have to count, you can see the columns on that worksheet as far as the number of males, females, students that are enrolled in special ed, students that are open enrolled in, students that are open enrolled out. And then they have a formula based on all of those numbers that creates a number for the district that you submit the report to DPI. So this is actually not the report. These are actually student, they call them butts and seats, the actual students that are in the district. And then I have Ms. Kobernick sign the report that doesn't reflect these numbers, but it reflects the numbers based off the formula that they have. So you can see the total number in the district is in the blue column, which is that 581. And then you can kind of go across the board as far as students that were present, absent, virtual, open enrolled in, like I said, open enrolled out. So agenda item that doesn't need approval, but just review. Just wanted to share with you that that's what Ms. Kobernick will be signing after the meeting, is the report based on this.
Is that a subtle hint of stay so you can sign?
That's just a quick signature.
Cool with that, Eddie?
Yep.
Okay, next, review of the 2022 referendum planning.
Okay, so I just want to share a little bit with you. We've been talking about the referendum and the planning documents. We just wanted to share with you kind of what the plan is. So we have a document that I wanted to give you. I gave you guys a hard copy of this document, and then the document that'll be going on just a social media post informing the public that we're going to be having the public community informational meetings are going to be held on Wednesday, March 2nd at 6:30 in the high school in the cafeteria, and then Tuesday, March 22nd, same time, 6:30 p.m. in the junior senior high school cafeteria. So that's going to be sent out on social media, and then the first document. Hit the wrong one. The first document is just has some information on, and I wanted you guys to get eyes on it before it's shared with those staff, of what is being proposed, when the vote is, and kind of the bare bones, basic information regarding the operation, or the recurring operational referendum. So it's nothing too flashy, you know, like you guys obviously know, we're not like, you know, some of the surrounding districts where they hire a, you know, $5,000 to $10,000 marketing firm to do all of this for us. And our approach, as you guys know, I have a script that's ready to go. I'm just going to send a video. Our approach is just, these are the facts, and I think you know, most of the people know that we have a problem. This is the answer to the problem. So, you know, you can vote whatever you want based on the facts, and then we're going to have the informational meetings as well. So, just talks about what it is, you know, when it's occurring, why we need it, what the amount is, what that means for taxpayers, which ultimately is going to have no impact on our taxpayers because of what we've done with Fund 46 and then Fund 39 with the refinancing. And that's our biggest kind of sales pitch, I guess, for lack of better terms, as far as how we can get it done without impacting the taxpayers. The why, I feel like, is the easy part. I feel like it's no secret that we've had, you know, since Act 10, we've had to continue to have discrepancies in our teaching salary compensation model. It's no secret, you know, we've been losing good staff to surrounding districts, but I think even equally important, or maybe as important or even more important, is the individuals that we have that are staying. Like, we want to make sure that we're showing them that we value them. And right now we have a large discrepancy in teacher salaries, and then when you look at the surrounding districts too, we're not competitive. So it's a little bit more wordy than I'd hoped, but there are some graphics in there too. So it's got the projected mill rate. You know, if the referendum does pass, still shows a mill rate that will be either staying the same or most likely decreasing based on the variables that when Baird presented at the meeting a couple meetings ago. Talks about why, like I just said, why do we need the operational referendum? It's got a graphic down below with the neighboring districts and kind of where our district falls, and the base wage, which we know we've been competitive with the base wage, but our as you move up the salary structure, just the discrepancy grows with our teacher structure, and this would allow us to slot people into the areas where they appropriately should be. It's got a list of the mill rate from 2014 till now that we've done our due diligence to make sure that we continue to keep that mill rate decreasing. Couple kind of key points that we've done our financial due diligence, as well as, you know, we've been able to pay for a $1.7 million roof at the junior senior high without asking, any taxpayer dollars for that. That's going to be paid regardless of whether or not this passes or not. So it doesn't have any of the, you know, like you see some, and not throwing any other districts under the bus, but you see the whole, you know, if we don't pass this, we're going to cut sports, which no one would ever do. But, you know, you see that in some documents, and we just kept it to the basics of what these are the facts, and I think the facts speak for themselves. So we will be having a meeting to open through in there, just open door policy. If anybody wants to come in and schedule a meeting with me, they're free to do that. And then, like I said, the March 2nd and then March 22nd are the two informational public meetings that we'll have it open to the public, that anybody wants to come in to ask questions or hear more information. Any questions regarding this document? Yep.
You kind of touched on it with, you know, when we refinance and stuff, that'd be maybe another bullet to add into that left side there, but I realize there's a lot on there already. But
yeah, so I thought that too, and I certainly could add it. I have it in my video. I'm doing a video script because it's hard to articulate.
And it's a lot, yeah. Kind of like the Fund 46, you touch on it with the roof, but they don't really know why.
It might not even make sense.
No, right.
So, and I don't know if it's even going to make sense in my video, but at least I have a paragraph saying we were able to take advantage.
That was a chunk of money.
Yeah, we were able to take advantage of the low rates, and we refinanced, which allowed us to over levy $600,000 in Fund 39, which can't be used for operational purposes, so we can't just allocate that money to fix our problem with the salary structure, but it will allow us, if we pass a referendum, to almost like substitute that money and then no longer prepay that debt in Fund 39, which we don't have to do, and normally you don't do anyway. So I can share that document with you guys if you want to see that, or you can keep the suspense. You can wait for the video to come out.
Just so people understand that we can't move money around between the funds is the hardest
It is.
comprehension.
Yeah. Because that was brought up, we met with the teaching staff too, and the support staff. I had an all-staff meeting to just share kind of a little bit of the details. We're going to do one more of those. And that was one of the questions that was brought up of, why can't we just shift that money over? So I think it'll be good to try to articulate it in the video that I'm sending out to families too. I want to keep it short because you don't want to lose them either of listening to me talk with a video, but I also want to hit all the key points so we're transparent, because we don't have anything that we don't want to be transparent about. I mean, this is just the facts are what they are. If we are able to pass a referendum, we'll be able to do it and fix our problem without impacting taxpayer dollars, which impacting the mill rate. So, that makes sense?
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay. I gave you guys a hard copy of this too. I can email it. I'll email it to the full board as well, just so if you see anything misspelled or anything that you feel like could be changed or needed that we've talked about in the past, feel free to let me know. And then going to email to a small group. Our teacher compensation committee group is going to be getting it here after tonight's meeting. I just wanted you guys to get eyes on it first, and then I'll be asking them to do the same thing. Just get eyes on it and kind of go through and see if they have anything that was either missed or could be added. I think that's it.
I like that. Looks good.
Thanks.
All right. Next, approval of resignations.
Okay, so we have one resignation on there. You'll notice that the same name is in the hiring category, so that individual just requested to be resigned from his current bus driver role and be approved in the custodian role. And so we said, we'd met with him and we posted the bus driving one, and we ended up getting a candidate for that, so it worked out well.
I would
Approve the
entertain-
resignation.
There we go.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to approve the resignation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. Approval of hires.
Okay, so we have 4 individuals that are currently need to be approved for hiring. For all 4 of them are currently working right now in the position because we put them in their roles. So I strongly recommend that we continue keeping them all employed.
Move to approve the new hires.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to approve the new hires. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. Approval of new position.
So the approval of hires, I should have mentioned, those are all positions that were already in the district that we
Yep.
just filled due to vacancies. So the approval of new position, the new position is a support staff position in the elementary building. We currently have a student and multiple students that are exhibiting some challenging behaviors. One in specifically that will be qualifying for special education and be required to receive some special education services. So we're in need of some additional para support, special ed para support at the elementary. Any questions with that position?
Just like a temporary deal, or it depends, I suppose.
I don't see it as a temporary position. I mean, we have a couple kiddos that are. This individual is definitely in need of some para support. We also have some others that could warrant some support. And I don't know how many we have in the referral process. Is it just this one?
No, I'd just say it's all of our support staff positions like that are dependent on student need. So it's just it's an overall increase in student need, and as long as there's a need there, we'll have the position. If we have had instances in the past where we've had a reduction in need, and then we've had reduced the force as well.
Sure.
But I don't anticipate that happening anytime soon.
And I don't necessarily want to say it's just because of the special education referral. We've had some needs in that area. And honestly, the reason that we've been able to kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Peterson, but we have some individuals that are helping out. Mrs. Schieffer, former educator, she's been coming in frequently, helping out with support and helping out the teachers with some of the needs that are in that specific grade level. So, but it did just so happens that this particular student is qualifying for special education and will continue to need some support, some behavior, some para support.
I move to approve the new position.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to approve the new position. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. Approval of FMLA request.
Okay, so I put the letter in there from the staff member that's requesting FMLA. The staff member is having her first baby and is requesting FMLA most likely the beginning part of May till the end of the year. So if you don't want a lawsuit on your hand, I'd strongly recommend that you guys approve this one as well.
I move to approve the FMLA request.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to approve the FMLA request. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. Approval of insurance renewal.
Okay, so some good news with the insurance renewal. So this is EMC. If you look at the very first page, the total premium this current year is $116,000, a little over $116,000, almost $117,000. Next year it's going to be down to 107, a little over 107,000, almost 108,000. So the reason behind that is you see the workers' comp premium is the lowest it's ever been. It can't get a whole lot lower.
Must have had a bad one get off there, huh?
Well, it's a 3-year average.
Yeah.
So we've just So we've had some good, the last 3 years we've been pretty lucky with it. But so good news.
Is that all with one company?
What's that?
Is that all with one insurance company?
Yes, we use Lead Home Insurance, and then they go through EMC and Tricor.
Okay, so just a couple. Okay. Is there any questions? I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the insurance renewal.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to approve the insurance renewal. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Motion passes. Next, review of achievement gap reduction, AGR.
Okay, so it's just past EMC. It's stapled, so you guys might have to pull it out. The AGR report is in there, and Mr. Peterson is going to share on this.
All right, so I think you guys are familiar with the Achievement Gap Reduction. Again, it used to be a SAGE program going back to the 90s. This is the program that we receive extra grant funding to have. The strategy we use is decrease class sizes. So this is what gives us the 18-to-1 or smaller ratio in grades K through 3. So the process of the Achievement Gap Reduction, we rewrote our plan last spring, if you might recall that, and you guys approved it. It's on file with the DPI. It's a 5-year contract, basically, or a 5-year grant application. And then we set goals, and starting with 3 to 5 years ago, again, so 2 times a year after the first semester, and then at the end of the year, we share our progress on our goals. And so if you recall, we used to use the STAR test with all of our students. We used that from 2013-14 up till last year. And then for the last year or two, we've been looking into, and last spring with our committee, our literacy committee, we made the decision to switch to a different screening assessment. So we use FastBridge, which is our new one. It's pretty robust. So we're working through the first year of using that new screener, it's a little bit different test. The old one was totally computer designed, or totally taken on a computer. This one is part computer and part, I don't want to say pencil paper because the kids don't use pencil paper, but part of the reading assessment is that the teacher reads with the student, and if you're educators familiar with what's called a running record. Basically, you're taking a running record where you listen to them read and you make marks and symbols on the words that they struggled with or had to go back and repeat, or words that they got wrong, things like that. So it's a little more in depth, but then they record the data on the computer actually, so it's a pretty neat assessment. But so anyway, so we do a baseline in the fall in September, and that's what's in the left-hand column. So the performance objective and the assessment methods and the rationale for the class size reduction, those are the same from every grade, but you can see that every grade there's a reading and a math percentile. So what we do is we set our goal that our goal is to have 80% of our students at the benchmark, which the benchmark is 40, that the student would be at the 40th percentile or higher, okay? So percentile just means, again, if you lined up 100 students in a row, who got the highest score, who got the lowest score, that 40th percentile would be that student who is 40 from the bottom, 60 from the top. So it's not percentage, it's percentile, and that falls into that average range. So anyway, as you can see, the baseline performance from the fall is in the third column from the left, and then over on the right-hand side in the bigger boxes is from January. So these were done the second and third week of January. So our goal is to have every student goals to have 80% of students at the benchmark. So this shows, for example, on the left-hand column, kindergarten, 62% of kids were at benchmark. So you'll notice in the lower grades especially is our reading scores, our percentage of kids at benchmark in the lowest grades is not what we're used to. It's lower. So what do we attribute that to? Well, lots of things. So we just got done, I should say. We just had, and we actually have 2 more to go. We do data meetings with every grade level. So Mrs. Howell, the new Title I teacher, and myself, sometimes Mrs. Jacobchek, school psychologist, we meet with the grade level teams, and we project all the student data on the wall, and we look at it, and we look at the results, and then we try to look at root causes and try to figure out the reasons. So anyway, so you can look through kindergarten, first grade, some differences between reading and math.
So just so I'm reading this right, we have 62% of kindergartners at the benchmark, and it's going down to 20?
Yep, that's the number of kids at benchmark is less than it was in the fall.
Did the benchmark move?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so the benchmark went up. So I'd say
they're
the
not
60,
staying with the benchmark movement.
Yep, in reading in kindergarten, yeah. So like the 62 in the fall, we would say, oh, that's kind of normal coming in the fall. It's something we typically see, and they kind of creep up closer to that 80%. So that's accurate. They have that group. They're not keeping up with the change from September to January. They didn't keep progress with what this assessment is measuring.
So is there is there a check that the alignment of the curriculum is with the standard, and
that's what we're looking at. That's what we're concerned about. Yeah, is that. Another example was like third grade. Like when we have our data meetings, third grade math. You look at the fall, 55%, and the winter was 55%. So again, just, they held steady with the growth of the benchmark went up.
Yeah.
But one of the things that the teachers noted is they said, well, we can see the kids taking the test, and they said there's long division on there. And they said that's not something that our curriculum has gotten to yet. We will here very shortly. And then we were discussing with the new standards, long division is not actually a standard in third grade, the way that it was measured on here. So, they said we can understand why in math, there was an alignment issue with the new assessment with what our curriculum was. Part of the reason for switching to the different screener this year was, if you guys will recall, we would take the STAR test. We'd used it for quite a while. And STAR, STAR is a good test. It's very valid, very reliable. It's taken by millions of kids. Over time it has been. So it's very reliable data. But, we're finding that, kids were performing pretty well on it, but then we're not seeing the results on the forward test, like on the state test. So, and in talking to other school districts, that was part of the conversation too about it. There's more people beginning, Fastbridge, it just has a little bit, it's a little more robust, a little more in-depth, and I think it's showing in some of the results that we see here. It's something that I don't want to say it's good, but it's something to lean into and say, okay, what does this expose about our curriculum that we need to fix more?
Well, I think there's a good part of it, because the thing with computerized tests is they can get lucky with the actual having to read and do an assessment. That's to me a more reliable assessment is, can you?
Yeah, well, and it does both. And the way STAR works is the way this one does too, where with the computerized part, so if a student answers a question, they get it right, they get a harder question. Answer it right, they get a harder question until they get one wrong, and then they get an easy one, and then they get a hard one, an easy one, until it zeroes in, and it's amazing how they do it. Obviously there's lots of really smart people with their algorithms and metrics that they use, but and then this one has that component to it too, but it also has, they call it CBM, curriculum-based measure, that is the actual reading out loud part too. So, same with math. There's actually some hand math with it too, with like testing automaticity on the arithmetic and stuff like that. So.
I only say something because I'm getting a lot of feedback from my third grader on just starting to despise the computer work.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because there was an overload from COVID and it's so impersonal that it's just not. So I'm a little concerned. You get them on a computer and they're not in the right frame of mind. Does that blow your test too?
Yeah, those are all things.
Just a screen overload even.
Yeah, those are all things to consider. So, I put, this is not part of the actual report, but I put 4th, 5th, and 6th grade on there too, because I just know, sometimes there's just curiosity about how do the older kids do. Because we do, we screen all the kids, and then we do data days with them too, where we have a meeting and look at it with the teachers. So, and when we looked at some of the results, we were like, oh boy, didn't make us feel very good. And we saw some of the things, so what are we looking at here? And I do think part of it too is there's been a learning curve with just using the new assessment, as far as the teachers administering it and kids taking it. So there's part of that. I think too, we said that there's still a third of the year left too. We want to wait till the spring screener too before we get too wild about any reactions or whatever. Just kind of stay the course and keep looking at what we're doing. So those are just some of the conversations that we had. I do know too, I've been talking to another educator in Amory. They're also in their first year of using Fastbridge too, and they kind of said a similar experience. They said that their scores were not as this person worked at the intermediate school. Same thing, that they were, little like, well, our scores weren't as good as what we're maybe used to. They used to use STAR as well. And similar information about the, learning curve or some growing pains with the new assessment. So I said, well, that made me feel a little bit better because we weren't the only ones feeling that way or experiencing that. But, I don't know, any other questions that people have?
At one point we had, wasn't it Mrs. Anderson, we had part of her role was reading specialist. I mean, with the scores of this first grade and with the kindergarten really went down, other than class size, what's another strategy that we can use for some of these early reading interventions?
What we currently do is we have response to intervention. So there's a 3-tiered, there's the universal level, which is the teachers teaching all the kids the curriculum. And then there's, when we look at, so that's what we do in those data meetings too, is the teachers and myself and Title I teacher talk about, okay, what are our priorities in terms of interventions. Typically, the students with the highest need go to the Title I teacher and get a most intensive intervention, and then the students at the next tier do an intervention with the teacher. So every grade has a RTI time, or response to intervention time, and then they work, typically in small groups with the teacher during that time. That's, another thing too, when we talk about screens and COVID and impacts of that, we had worked hard to develop a good RTI program so that grade levels were doing a good job of sharing kids. So you look at not just, my second graders and your second graders, but let's look at all the second graders, and then they would pair them up, not based on who their teacher was, but based on where their level and need was. And then, say Mrs. Wolf would take some, and Mrs. Anderson would take some, or Mrs. Call would take some, different needs. Last year with the pandemic, we were cohorting, and we weren't mixing classes like that. And so, I think, we took some steps backwards, like a lot of schools, in that teaming part. So I think we're recovering from that still, and I think getting that momentum back to get back to that better. Another thing we talked about, especially with the young ones too, is we're seeing, I think, impacts from and this is just conjecture, so proof for this or data, but we're just seeing and talking to people in other schools too that, especially the youngest kids, they missed out on some important experiences coming into school. The first graders missed a quarter of pre-K, and the social skills and the basic skills of letter recognition, and kindergartners in second grade now, what kind of skills that they missed in kindergarten with letter recognition and letter sounds and things like that. So I think we're seeing it, and then we're seeing it with some of the behavioral challenges of the youngest kids. I think has been impacted by the closures and the quarantines and the kids at home not out socializing as much, and not traveling and not going to the store with mom and dad, or going to the movie or things like that. So I think we're seeing increased challenges with social, emotional, and behavioral stuff, and so it's a lot to sort through and try to work through it. So
Yeah, because then now third graders are the last group to have started in a normal school year.
Yeah.
Everybody else started in pandemic,
impacted
so
somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at our own district, and I feel very lucky and blessed that to have my kids in this district, for what we were able to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the individuals at this table, but our whole district, what our entire staff was able to do, keep the doors open and kids in front of teachers, but even that, I mean, you just saw the variables that were outside of our control. We saw the stressors that many families were dealing with, that we saw kids that were dealing with in the classrooms, and like Mr. Peterson said, we've seen. I think some of that is, some of the behaviors that we're seeing, more so the elementary, younger ages. We're seeing some challenging behaviors in those little buggers, and I think it has been a difficult transition, and this whole last 2 years has been very tough for them, with all the different variables at play. There's some inside of our control and some that were outside of our control as a district. But I think with any one of those variables, it's easy to make the argument that impacts, reading and math.
Yeah.
That focus isn't on reading and math, because you're focused on the social emotional needs of some of the kids that that they're dealing with. That and that's at the high school too. I know we talked about that at some of the meetings when we were talking about the ESSER money and the impact of the junior, senior high school kind of mental health stuff. And I think it's still across the board, across our district, that it's having an impact on the academics as well. But again, like I said, Clear Lake, we've been very lucky with the approach that the board has agreed to take with what we've done as a district, and our kids have benefited from it, but there's still challenges that everybody's dealing with.
Yeah.
And the little ones are the most vulnerable.
Yeah, we've been fortunate to be in person. I can't imagine some of the districts that have been in person way less than we are, how it is for them. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, what would our data look like if we weren't in person?
Yeah.
It could be worse.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree.
Thank you.
Any other? Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, next, approval of the 21-22 spring coaching roster.
Okay, so I gave you the coaching roster. There's just two TBDs in there to be determined yet, other than those two positions that we're working on filling. This is the spring coaching staff for the 21-22 school year.
I move to approve the 21-22 spring coaching roster.
Thank you.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to approve the 21-22 spring coaching roster. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, coaching roster approved. Next, approval of board policy 3122.02, non-discrimination based on genetic information of an employee.
Okay, so I sent you guys these last week. These are very similar to the couple policies that you looked at the week before, so the changes that were made. So they are not new policies, they're policies that Neola made some changes to. So anything that you read was nothing that I did myself or made any edits. It was all the Neola's revisions.
Just to make that clear.
Just to make that clear, yeah. No, I guess my point in saying that is, in case you didn't read them this weekend, that there's nothing that hasn't been recommended by Neola. There are 3,000 policies, so specific to employees, professional staff specifically.
No, let's read them both and
Let's
then
do them
approve
both
them both.
together, okay. Just wanted to- 312202 and 3123 to the board policies.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to approve the 2 policies. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, those motion passes. Next, superintendent notes.
Just have a couple things. Just want to go through a couple of items that have been going on in the district. We've had some fun stuff going on. We had an elementary assembly Friday the 4th, which was also the 100th day of the year. That was, kind of seems like a silly assembly with the Olympics, but the kids just love it. I mean, they live for it. I think the staff enjoyed it as well, but I know it was discussed in my own household with my 2 kiddos that are over at the elementary, and staff did a really nice job. The kids did an awesome job. Mr. Peterson did a nice job kind of facilitating the whole thing, and they light a little torch. They each pick a country. Kind of seemed, like I said, kind of seemed silly, but the teachers really do a nice job picking a country and then learning about the country, and then also following the athletes that are in that country, and seeing who wins medals and what they're competing in, but like I said, learning about the country as well. So a fun day for the kids to be able to do that again, have everybody in the gym for that assembly. I don't know if you had anything to add, Mr. Peterson.
Yeah, thank staff for doing a great job promoting it.
The little kids must have got the U.S.
Yeah, the JK and K.
Yeah.
My daughter got Mexico.
We did a
Does
lot of
Mexico
shit
for winter?
Poor athletes.
Yeah.
So,
Ice skater for the first time.
yeah, so the K and the JK, they said, can we all just have the US because it's the easiest for them to understand.
Yeah.
We're like, yes, that'll work. And then, the other grades, each class picked the country that they wanted, and for different good reasons. And Mrs. Anderson's class picked Mexico, and they agreed that they're probably working to win a lot of medals, but they do have athletes competing there, but that they're learning a ton of cool stuff about the country. So
So it was a fun assembly. On the 7th, we had the 8th grade registration night, which I was told went really well and good participation. I was out sick, but Mr. Malmberg led that, and it sounded like we had good participation as far as parents attending the 8th grade registration. There. Then on the 9th, we had Joe Delagrave, April and Joe. Joe is a paraplegic that is now paraplegic Olympic, or I'm blanking. Natty, help me out.
He was a
Paralympian. Thank
rugby
you.
Player, and then he retired, and now he's actually the coach of the U.S. team.
Yeah, and motivational speaker as well, and did a nice job presenting to the kids. We had him present to 7th through 12th grade, excuse me, and held their attention the entire time. And I even sent an email out to all staff. The kids really did a nice job, and the staff just making sure that giving him their undivided attention throughout the whole time, and I thought he presented really well, and I think that's probably part of why the kids did such a nice job, is he presented really well and had a neat story. So it was nice to have him in the district, similar to when we had Tasha Shu a couple years ago, so kind of a similar story to that, but the kids seemed to really take to it. We also have a JK screening, and had JK screening on the Thursday the 10th and Friday the 11th, which meant that we had no JK or kindergarten kiddos in classes those days, and that went really well. Wrestling regionals on the 12th at Cameron. I believe we got five through on to sectionals, which will be next weekend, Saturday the 19th in St. Croix Falls. So had a lot of injuries on the wrestling team this year with some broken bones, and so a couple of the kids were able to get cleared right before regionals. So it sounded like they did really well on the 12th. And then tomorrow, primary election for the board meeting. We have, like I said, we've talked about in the past, we have 4 individuals running. So the primary election is on the 15th, which, Matt Ellsmore, thanks for one of those individuals running, is here tonight. So the primary election on the 15th. And then we have in-service coming up on the 18th, so no school for kiddos on the 8th, this Friday, so it's a short week for kids. And then we'll have staff stuff going on the 18th. And there was one other thing. Which with the primary election, we have to identify somebody to canvass, come to the canvassing committee, which will be, did we say that was going to be Monday or Tuesday? Monday the 22nd. And Skip, you said you can't make it,
I can.
right?
I thought it was tomorrow night.
Oh, okay.
Then I can.
So you'll be there?
I will.
Okay.
You think the results are coming that fast?
I don't know why I was just thinking of Tuesday, and we got our meetings that day, so I will not be there.
So you'll be able to come on the 21st?
I will.
Okay. Sounds good. And then the last thing I wanted to discuss is our March meeting. So March, we had, usually we meet the second Monday in March, which is March 14th. We have spring break on March 14th. On our hard copy calendars, we have listed as the board meeting on the Monday, March 21st, which is the third Monday of that month. So are we all good with keeping it on March 21st, or shifting it from the 14th to the 21st?
I am good with it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. And then last, maybe I should go a meeting without mentioning the pandemic and COVID stuff, but
Please.
but I will mention it. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the numbers have been extremely good. We do have an influx of the crud, kind of influenza and cold, and it's that time of year. So we do have a lot of my own household. I was out for a day and a half, not feeling well, but not many kiddos and staff testing positive for COVID. But we do have the kiddos and staff that are testing positive for influenza, and just having the junk in. Running its course through both buildings, so I guess that's a good thing.
How are our JK screening numbers? What's our classes looking like?
It was in the low 30s right now, so not very large. So we have a number of fairly small classes right now, really small. I'm hearing that from other schools too, that kind of are, but I would expect, typically between now and through summer, I would expect we'll add 5 more kids, 6 more kids. It seems like after screening happens, we'll usually get a handful of people that come in and say, I missed screening. And then over the summer, we'll get a few more that miss screening, or we'll get some move in. So historically, I'd say we'd add 5 more kids, something like that, just on average.
Is there quite a few that just don't go to JK too and just go to kindergarten?
Not very many.
No?
A couple.
No, I'd say pretty few and far between.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. We did have, 2 years ago, we had more, last year I should say, we had more skip because of they didn't want their kids to come with the uncertainty of the COVID-19 pandemic last year. So 4K is not compulsory, so they kept them home. Yeah, but honestly, that wasn't that many either. It was a couple.
But some do. Like my own children didn't attend JK.
Well, I sent mine twice, so that made it.
It averages out to maybe 1 a year or something, maybe. 1 or 2 a year on average.
All right.
So that's all I have.
Anything else?
No.
All right, thank you, Josh. All right, next, contemplated closed session in accordance with WSS 19.851C, considering employment compensation or performance data of any public employee over which governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Discussion of performance of an employee. Thanks for coming, guys.
Coming.
Oh yeah, I'll pull the board.
Yes.
Ryan? Christy?
Yes.
Eddie?
Yes.
Skip, yes. We are now in closed session.
Have a good night, Aiden.
All right, we're back now in open session.
Future agenda?
Any future agenda items?
No, I don't have anything else.
No? Okay, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.